Hey guys, Sean McCauley with Cloud Defensive, and today we're going to do a little buyer's guide for you. We have gotten a ton of questions from you guys, specifically since the launch of the Duty light. The question is now becoming which light's right for me. We've got multiple options, and so I'm just going to walk you through it a little bit, talk to you about the intended use of each of these tools, hopefully give you guys a little bit more insight into the nature of them if you can't get your hands on one before you purchase. A video like this is going to have a lot of value, so we're just going to start talking about it. Duty light, we're going to hold on for just a second. We're going to start on the original MCH line, so I'm going to drop that in my pocket here. Two of these things exist, MCH-EDC, and then there's the MCH-HC. So the EDC light is, honestly, it's my go-to, and I'm going to kind of tell you why. This thing is 1700 lumens, so it's got a lot of horsepower behind it. And at 40,000 candela, it makes for a fantastic tool. Now we offer higher candela tools. Actually, the other two are both higher candela. But again, the name of this kind of says it all. This is an EDC light. So what we did is we put a lot of lumen output behind it. We focused the light in a very appropriate manner, and then we made it small enough that you can easily carry it in your pocket. So this is the one I actually pocket carry every day, aside from the Chicro. And it's a phenomenal tool for what it's intended for. So if you're gonna ask, well, what's the intended use? I would say everything inside of, say, 75 to 100 yards, this thing's awesome, right? So case in point, my property isn't super deep. So at night, if I need to check something, this lights up my entire backyard almost in one shot. Perfect. The HC does the same thing, but I don't have as much spill behind it, right? So again, use case. Anything up close, EDC is absolutely the way to go. Tremendous amount of power in a very small package. And the new ones being 5-mode programmable across the board now with all three of these tools. You can dial these things down, you know, to medium being 30% power, low being 10%, and in modes 4 or 5, you can get down to very low, which is only 5% output. So now what you've got is a really good administrative tool as well. And this is actually a good point. When you've got more lumens with less concentrated light in the hotspot and a bigger hotspot, which is what you get here, when you dial that down into a more administrative mode, that diffuse light really starts to matter. And this is where, when you start to work up close on things, I don't care if your power goes out or whatever the administrative task might be, where you're in the dark, but you don't want 1700 lumens of intensely blinding light. It's really nice to be able to spread that out and diffuse that light a little bit more. So the EDC does that phenomenally well. And we're gonna do some beam comparisons for you here. I'm just kind of walking you through each one. So that's the EDC. Now, the HC. I will tell you right now, it's our most popular one. We sell more of the HC than we do the EDC. And I would say for good reason. This brings a lot to the table in terms of performance. You're talking about 80,000 candela, you know, 1100 lumens. It's a lot of light, which gives you a lot of capability downrange. And if you need to push light, you know, on a long piece of property, this is your light. If you need to defeat those photonic barriers, which we've been talking about for years now, this is your light. This gives you, I think, a really, really good defensive tool and application from an everyday carry standpoint. And when you start to look at the capability that this brings to the table, that honestly the EDC doesn't, it's basically starting at, say, 75 to 100 yards and then working past that, right? Both of these tools work great up close. The EDC definitely gets the edge, you know, again, just say inside of that 75-yard line. You're just gonna get more light on everything, which for a lot of applications is super great. So our friend Aaron Cowan once said famously, and I've been using this line for a couple of years, so thank you, Aaron. You can create spill from throw, but you cannot create throw from spill. Fantastically said. So if you're talking about umbrella lighting things, this is where slightly higher candela numbers are valuable for that. You cannot create a long throw tool out of a lower candela item, but I can light up a whole lot more up close if I don't have the ability to umbrella light. You know, if I'm out in my backyard, I can't umbrella light the stars, not yet anyways. So that's not really a play here. Very different tools for very different applications, and you just kind of have to pick which one you think you're going to use the most. So that's these two. And now enter the Duty light. The first thing I'm going to talk about on the Duty light, comparatively speaking to the other MCHs, is just the size and form factor. I think it's a totally different tool. You know, it's brutally strong. This is one we were driving nails with. I've been using this just to kind of prove a point. This was not optimized for pocket carry, right? So if you want to talk about an everyday carry type of flashlight, this can be done. I mean, we ship it with a pocket clip, like you can do it. I'm just telling you right now, it's not probably gonna be your dream daily carry tool. It's just a little bit too big for that. But the trade-off being, you've got tool steel on the bezel, you've got the field serviceable lens, and then you've got 1800 lumens, 50,000 candela, like brutally strong. It's awesome for what it is. It's just not intended to be what these are intended to be. You know, if you're gonna put a light in your pocket and go to work every day, these are your lights. If you're gonna put this onto a belt, into a vest, on your nightstand, in your car, in your garage, any place you would put a hard use flashlight, that's what the Duty light was absolutely intended for. And on the Duty side, this one's programmable too. So again, you can dial it down to 30%, 10% on low, or if you drop into that very low mode, you can get into 5% output, which again, if you run the numbers, 5% of say 180 lumens, or I'm sorry, of 1800 lumens is a tremendous amount of light that you can run for hours and hours and hours. So you've got a fantastic administrative capacity with this tool as well. And I think that's gonna resonate a lot with the professional users. You know, you can program this high to low, low to high, whatever you need. And then you're gonna get a ton of runtime out of it and a ton of versatility. So to follow on that 1800 lumens that you get with the Duty light, you got to talk about the 50,000 candela you get with it as well, right? And that's a different number, right? So again, this is the part where I probably mess up the numbers because there's a lot of them, but you've got 40,000 candela in the EDC, you got 50,000 candela with the Duty, and then you got 70,000 candela. Is that 80? Yeah, see, told you I was gonna mess it up, 80. 40,000, 50,000, 80,000. There you go, I promise. With that, they all perform differently, but in the context of the Duty light, what we're talking about here is trying to give you a tool for say 100 yards and in, which is where most of the users for this type of tool are gonna be operating. If you need a more powerful tool, we've got you covered. And then if you need a more powerful tool in terms of candela on your long gun, we've got you covered there too. That's the Rain 3.0. Again, intended uses really matter here. So I think we need to just jump into beam comparisons. I'm not just gonna drown you with numbers, which I'll probably screw up again. So I'm just gonna rotate this way a little bit, and we're gonna show you the EDC versus the HC, because that's the first order that we talked about here, and then we're gonna work the Duty light in behind that. So this is going into my pocket, and we're just standing here in the warehouse. We've got some distance here, and I've got the HC. So what we're gonna show you right now, I'm gonna fire the EDC. So again, 40,000 candela, 1700 lumens, and there she is. So a couple of things to note. Very large hotspot. This is actually the biggest hotspot of all three, just for the record. And then you've got a lot of usable spill. So I would encourage you to not only look at the golf cart downrange, but also look at the rows of shelves and inventory and everything there. You can see a lot. If there was a human standing in there, I'm going to see him. I just am. There's not a lot of shadows that are being created right now. It's very, very useful. Now, I'm gonna kill this and I'm gonna fire the HC. So again, we're talking 80,000 candela with 1100 lumens. So we're actually got less light coming out of the emitter, but it's more focused and it's able to project a lot farther. Now what you've got is a much more intense hotspot. I can see more reflection on the shelves downrange. But if you start to look at the shelves around on the lateral side here, it's not as defined. I'm just being honest. Like, there are more shadows that are created, and if there was a human standing down there, I might not see it unless I move over and, you know, hold on him. Then I'm absolutely gonna see him. With that EDC light, I've just got a lot more, flat out. I mean, my eyes can see it. If there's a guy there, I'm gonna see him. If there's a guy there with this one, I might not see him. You know, but I can throw light a hell of a lot farther with the HC. So you just kind of have to, again, think about the intended use. We're standing in my warehouse. That's probably different than your bedroom or your kitchen or your living room or your backyard. All very different. So I think one of the most common questions we've been seeing, at least through the social channels and through our customer service, has been, hey, this Duty light's awesome. I'm debating between the Duty light and the HC. You know, which one do I want? And again, very different tools. So let's take the form factor out of the equation. Let's take the durability differences out of the equation, the size differences out of the equation, and just look at the performance. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna fire the HC, and we're going down range again on the shelves there. It's the same one we showed earlier. So you've got a very, very pronounced hotspot, 1100 lumens with that 80,000 candela. You have limited, I'll just say it that way, you've got limited visibility within the spill. I mean, there's good usable spill there, but I'm just telling you, it's not as much as on the duty light. So that's your HC. And then your duty, which I think that's a pretty clear difference just in terms of the overall light output. You've got a much larger hotspot, not as big as the EDC, but large. You've got 10,000 more candela than that EDC, so you can punch light farther than that EDC light can. And we're putting even more lumens around it. So again, from a building search standpoint, which imagine I'm in a building where I might be searching, I can light up damn near everything here just by clicking the button. Whereas with the HC, I can put light onto everything, but I'm telling you, it's not as usable as that duty light for this application. They're just very different tools, and you just have to consider what it is you want. So again, there's your HC, and there's your duty light. So very, very different. And then if you want, just because it's interesting, we will take a look at the EDC 40,000 candela, 1700 lumens versus the duty light at 50,000 candela and 1800 lumens. They are different. I'm hoping the cameras show it. They both put out very large hotspots. They both put out a lot of light into the spill. So the performance difference on these two, I can't even tell you which one I prefer. They're both awesome for their intended uses, like I said. I carry the EDC in my pocket every day. The duty light, it's just too big. I don't want to carry that in my pocket, but I carry it on my belt, my plate carrier, my backpack. Got one in my truck. So they're all over the place, but it really comes down to what you want. And I think if you're debating between the duty light and the EDC, what you really need to be asking yourself goes back to that form factor, durability. If to hell and back is your goal, duty light all day long. If you're gonna put it in your pocket, EDC light all day long. It just comes down to what you want. Okay, so let's wrap this up real quickly. If you're trying to carry a very good, very powerful, everyday use, everyday carry light in your pocket, the EDC is the one. 40,000 candela, tremendous capability, lots of lumens. If you need to throw light farther, if you're looking for a more dedicated defensive type tool, the HC is where it's at. It can do things that EDC can't, and vice versa, but in this context, HC is the one you want. You try to push light a long ways or through a lot of barriers. And then if you're buying a duty light, again, do not expect this to be the ideal pocket carry tool. We never designed it for that. We designed it for hard use applications. Again, belt mount, plate carrier, anywhere else in the world you're gonna store a flashlight that's not your pocket, that's what this guy's for. So 50,000 candela, 1800 lumens, nasty strong, and that's what you got to be thinking about. So again, default back to what you need these things to be used for, and just know that we've got a light for everybody now, and it's great.